My name is in the credits of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. There it is, right there. My legal name. So I guess also, surprise number 2, Day is a stage name. I just thought it would be easier for people. Anyway, before you listen to the cover, I want to tell you a story about how a sleep-deprived, college-aged me ended up in the credits for a game that I mostly forgot about, but now in some ridiculous coincidence is the most requested game you folks put in my YouTube comments, and in Little V's comments, and in Rashad's comments, and in Jules's comments. And now I guess all we need is Toxic Eternity and Johnny Atma and Jonathan Young to do a cover, and then the YouTube metal covers ritual will be complete. So, regarding the story, it goes something like this. Back when I was freshly out of college, I was making electronic music as Night Bandit. Why did I go with that name? I'm not sure, don't ask me. I had a few serious songs. And I had a few not so serious songs that, now that I think about it, I might have had an identity crisis.
Read a book!
But while rubbing elbows with other EDM producers, I stumbled upon these two hardworking individuals named Tony and Sasha. Tony and Sasha had a band called the Maniac Agenda. Well, one day I got a message from Tony asking if I could do some EDM sound design pretty quickly. They were working on electronifying some metal music from a game, and the deadline was coming up, so they needed a hand. I said yeah, and I thought it was cool, but I hadn't really played any Metal Gear games, so I didn't know what it was about or whatever. I just wanted to help. So next thing I know, they send me this heavy metal song, and it was just guitars, drums, bass, and vocals, and my job was to add synthesizer stuff to it. I added a little bit, not a ton. It was very underwhelming work. They ended up doing 90% of the work actually, and eventually shipped the song, and now it's up online, yeah. And that song was called The Stains of Time.
Wash away the anger!
You don't understand how much I didn't know what I was getting myself into. The game went out and I saw it and I was like, oh neat, I'm glad they shipped it. I didn't even play it, I didn't even listen to it. You know what else is crazy? Just how big of a cast of heavy metal musicians is in this OST. When I was researching, I found out that the composer Jamie Christopherson went out of his way to recruit a variety of guitar players and vocalists and remixers for like every song. I found this old video of the launch party live show they did, which is, it's a little rough around the edges, but it's still fun to watch. Well, I mean, I appreciate the effort, at least. So, fast forward to a handful of weeks ago, and I'm talking to Andrew Bain, and we're trying to figure out what song we want to cover next. When we decided that we wanted to do Metal Gear Rising, I remembered that I still had Tony's contact information. It had been a while, so I wasn't sure if the Maniac Agenda was still doing anything at all, but I figured I would reach out. Well, it turns out that they had already caught wind of the game's popularity and were thinking about doing covers, so now we are a team of 4. Most important thing though, we needed to pick a song. We can't just collect people in a chat room and call it a day. So we decided for this cover, the best and doomiest approach would be to do The Only Thing I Know For Real, which I know has been covered a bunch already, but we had a plan. The first thing that we did was we wrote the entire song an octave down. So Andrew took his 8-string guitar and tuned it down to C sharp, which is like 9-string guitar territory, but he's doing it on an 8-string for logistical reasons. The second thing that we did was we took the drum time and we cut it in half. Much more groovy, just a taste of doomy, maybe inspired by Doom is a better way to describe this song. Anyway, we still had one big problem. We can do super low guitar tunings, we can do synth stuff, we can do aggressive mixing and mastering, but there is this one superhuman shred guitar solo in the middle of the song, and none of us could do that. We could remove the shred, because as you know, songs in the Doom soundtrack don't really have guitar solos, but it felt like we would be leaving something out if we didn't have it, so we decided to keep the shred, which means we needed to find somebody that could both play really fast and add something new to the guitar solo to make it more appropriate for our version of the cover. Well, It turns out that one of my Patreon supporters is the sickest guitar player ever. Let me introduce you to Syndrone. When I asked him if he could write a new guitar solo to fit our cover, he turned around something so nasty. I listened to it over and over and over. This one part is so good. Actually, he was nice enough to send me a mini clinic on how to write a solo and how to dial in the right guitar tone, and I'm gonna show you that right now. Obviously, spoiler warning for the song, so come back to this later if that's something you care about, but without further ado, over to Syndrone.
So yeah, this is just a MIDI track. This is what I usually do when I compose and write lead guitar tracks. I usually have a synthesizer and I sit down with my guitar, and when I come up with something that I think is interesting, I don't record it because the next day I probably forgot it anyway, so I will write down all the stuff that I have in my mind. Yeah, this is quite neat. Now moving on to these two tracks, these are the guitar tracks, and I want to focus on the DI track because I did not end up using the XFX version. I wanted to use a wah-wah, and since I don't like to use a wah-wah while recording because you have to move your foot and play at the same time and it's really distracting, so I tend to use plugin versions of wah-wahs. So this is the wah-wah plugin that I used. I bought this one specifically for this project. It's really affordable. It's like 25 bucks. This is just the automation which controls the wah-wah, so pretty basic stuff. Next one is I'm going to this amp simulator, which is the Toneforge Ben Bruce. Let me actually play you how it sounds. So this is what I have on the DI guitar track. This is like the basic tone that I created. And this one goes into a stereo group channel in which most of the, I wouldn't say advanced stuff, but most of the further stuff is going on. But it's nothing fancy. It looks like a lot, but it's actually not. It's just some EQ moves to reduce some harshness, soothe to reduce some more harshness. Then we have a fab filter again, just to get rid of the high-end sizzle things. Then I have a stereoizer plugin, which is a stock plugin of Cubase. Then we have Uberloud. Uberloud is pretty much comparable to OTT in a way, and it's not a lot. You can see the 0, 3, and 6%, so this is really subtle. And then the rest is just really basic stuff. It's just a stereo delay. This is one of my favorites. Reverb plugins. Anyways, so that's what I wanted to say. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was kind of informative. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I'm happy to help you out. I'm Syndrone, and peace.
Hi again. So the guitar solo thing was all figured out, but we needed vocals too. Did I call up Tyson Yen, the original singer? No, I sent him a Facebook message and I don't think he got it. Didn't matter though, because Sasha had been doing vocals for a personal project and they sent over the demo, and when I heard the demo, I was like, that's gonna work, this is it.
Memories broken, the truth goes unspoken.
So at this point we have guitars, bass, drums, and vocals figured out, and the last step was to tag team the synth sound design with Tony. He makes music as Viberium now, and he has a ton of experience with synth work, so it was no surprise that when I asked him, he sent over a pack of the dopest synth sounds ever. By the way, if you collaborate with somebody, usually it's easier to have one person manage the main project and then have a second person just create raw sounds, almost like a sample pack. That's what Tony did, and that's what I also did myself. And then when I wanted to arrange everything, I took a few days and I just grabbed stuff and put it in a place that sounded nice. Oh, and I made some custom impact explosion-y sounds too.
I'm Viberium,
And I'm Sasha DRK.
better known as the Maniac Agenda, co-producers of the Metal Gear Rising soundtrack.
Yup.
I feel like I probably should talk about the actual approach to the song. It's difficult. This is a difficult song to sing. Like, you're shouting the whole time. In some songs, you can do this cool technique where you're like, why can't you, why can't you? But it's not actually very loud. You're not allowed to do that on this track. Like, you gotta actually like use your full voice, and it is voluminous. And to make that volume takes body, and woo, that is tiring. To hit that note, to hit the one, only thing I've ever told. It's like so much of a sound to it with like I said, a little bit of regular voice, a little bit of my actual voice mixed in, but mainly it's just
My role in the song was a lot of the sound design. So I'm a DJ and electronic musician. And this was a great opportunity for me to get very experimental with electronic sounds in a heavy, like straight attitude track. I did a lot of the sound design in there. So you'll hear like these drum and bass reeses. You'll hear 303s, which is from, saw waves going through distortion, which is a very old school rave kind of sound. The Prodigy used this, which is a big inspiration to me.
So, that's the whole story. I think I can speak for everybody when I say that we are super excited to show you this cover of The Only Thing I Know For Real. And for me, this has been the most nostalgic and personal project I've worked on to date. Really hope you enjoy it. So, army of commenters, did this meet your expectations? Let me know in the comments below. Now, time for some thank yous. This video was brought to you in part by my wonderful patrons, the names of which you can see rolling on the screen right now. They are my favorite patrons, and they might actually be the best patrons in the entire world. This cover will be uploaded to Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp, and everything else you can think of. You can download it for free, or you can stream it, or you can buy it at whatever price you think is best. Go check out the links in the pinned comment below for all of those places, and I do update them as soon as the song is released, because sometimes it can take a while to put it on places like Spotify. Of course, definitely don't want to end this video without mentioning how unbelievable the thumbnail art is. Kina did an amazing job. It's really, 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 really good. I love it. It's one of my favorites. And last but not least, it goes without saying, but huge thank you to Andrew, Syndrone, Tony, and Sasha for their amazing work on this cover with me. If you want to follow them, their links are in the video description below. I have some other big news coming up in the next video, but
First, you need to take a dump.
see ya.